Outlet Show.
Good evening, Sports Outlet Show family. I'm Joe Wagner here on this beautiful Wednesday night alongside Brent Allegra and Braden Wilkins. And gentlemen, start your engines and welcome to the calm before the storm. March Madness is tomorrow. I'm not counting the first four crap. I'm not doing it. You know, they play their games. They can come in if they want. Then I'll find them relevant. But gentlemen, debatably the two greatest days of sports is coming in the next 2 days. How are we feeling?
I'm feeling excellent. That Texas NC State game last night was a little bit of an appetizer for me. A lot of drama there at the end. Some really good shots. I'll cover it in one of my breakdowns because it applies. But man, I could kiss you like Dick Vitale kissed Charles Barkley last night. That's how excited I am. It's March, baby.
I could not have said it better myself. It's March. It's time for some hoops. So ready.
Anytime you get a Dick Vitale reference in there, I think you just won the lottery or something like that. So, Brent, great analogy. That shows you know ball.
He's the voice of March.
He is the voice of March. You know, secondary voice of March, Kevin Harlan. We have a little bit of him in our bio. If you check it out down there of, you know, his Scott Van Pelt entire thing when Northwestern upset that school from UVA. It's fine. It's fine. But before we get to the madness of March, we got to talk about it, guys. We're a Sports Outlet Show podcast. We got to bring it up. We got to chat about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the disastrous. This hits that fourth mark. Venezuela beating the United States 3-2 for Venezuela's country's first World Baseball Classic title last night. They're winning their first, right? We can talk about a couple things here. We can talk about the struggles. We can talk about whose fault it is, the pitching decisions between the United States. We can talk about it all, and we will. But the matter of the fact is the game-winning double came in the top of the ninth by Eugenio Suarez to score Javier Sinajo, who was a pinch runner for Luis Arias that was walked, and then Javier stole second, and then an instant double scores the game-winning run there in the top of the ninth after the U.S. answered in the bottom of the eighth, and Brent was screaming free bird with Bryce Harper's 2-run home run. That was one of the 3 hits that the U.S. had the entire night. Guys, talk to me. Brent, tell me about the hitting struggles. Braden, follow up with the pitching decisions, and then we'll really dig deep down on whose fault this really is.
Yeah, 3 hits the entire night. Obviously, Eduardo Rodriguez started the game, but he only lasted, I think, 5 innings or so, and I think he only allowed 1 hit during that time. This guy's not that great of a pitcher. He's bottom tier compared to what the U.S. has. We'll put it that way. So the fact that we weren't able to really hit at all the entire game, there were questionable decisions from the manager, not playing Gunnar Henderson, leaving some bats out of the lineup that were really, really hot for you and got you to this point. Just kind of a tragedy, honestly. It's a pure tragedy that we lost this game.
Yeah, and the pitchers that we sent out there, Nolan McLean currently plays for the Mets. He played for us against Italy. He had 3 innings pitched. He allowed 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 base on balls, and 4 strikeouts on 55 pitches. And then he gets the start for us yesterday. He pitched 4.2 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs allowed, 1 base on balls, and 4 strikeouts, and a home run on 63 pitches. So that obviously didn't put us in a great place. And then we bring in Garrett Whitlock to close us out. He had 0.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 earned run, and 1 base on ball, losing us the game in the 9th inning. Obviously, we had a chance to respond in the bottom of the 9th, but that didn't happen. We were down a run, and that's how it ends, 3-2.
It's just Paul Skeens pitches against the Dominican Republic, right? We talk about how incredible that roster is. He pitches well against Mexico, too. Obviously, is America's ace if it was to come to it, but with how the schedule pans out, with how everything they wanted, thinking that Mexico was going to be their hardest game, it turned out to be Italy, right, in the group stage. But Mexico having the ace of Paul Skeens. But I kind of want to play the blame game here of we lost, whose fault is it, and how far back does this go way before just last night's game? Is it all on head coach Mark DeRosa? Is it the MLB's fault for the pitch limits on their players, making decisions? Because Mark DeRosa, we can blame him night and day, but we have no idea the conversations this man is having behind backdoor panels. And it all started with the fact of Mason Miller not pitching last night. And that's because the Padres said that he cannot pitch unless this game is them winning going into the ninth or going into extras. And you always put your closer in, whether you're up or down, when you're up or tied in the ninth inning. You're always supposed to do it. And then we throw Garrett Whitlock out there, the Boston Red Sox, and instantly gives up a walk, a stolen base, a hit, earned run, ball game over. But then it goes all the way to Tariq Skubal, who decides that he can be there for Team USA but not actually pitch. His decision, Tiger's decision, again, you can play forensics all you want on whose fault it is, but in your all's opinion, what can the United States do better? Obviously, spring training's happened. We saw a pretty good – I feel like the Paul Skeens experiment was perfect in the way that they did that. Why can't we do that for everybody else?
Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. I think most of it came down to DeRosa. I'll be real with you all. And the reason I say that is because, and you guys might not know, but the Nationals actually had an exhibition game against Venezuela earlier this month in March. The Nationals played the country of Venezuela. The Nationals beat Venezuela 5-1 in that game. Nationals being the third worst team in baseball last year. Honestly, inexcusable, in my opinion. You have the best U.S. players across every single team in the league. Venezuela, I had to look it up because I was curious. Venezuela did play a lot of their starters in that game. Ronald Acuna, Javier Sanoa, Luis Reyes, Salvador Perez, Eugenio Suarez, Wilson Contreras, and at pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez. So a lot of the guys we were talking about last night, seeing them beat up on USA, it's honestly ridiculous, man. If the Nationals can beat this team 5-1, the USA All-Stars should be able to beat this team as well, handedly. So I really think it came down to management, I'll be honest with you.
I like what you said, Brent, about Alex Bregman and Gunnar Henderson, right? Alex Bregman getting the start over Gunnar Henderson, like what? Gunnar Henderson was the lone reason we beat the Dominican Republic, by the way. Had one of the two solo blasts, which this team struggled horrendously at bat throughout the entire World Baseball Classic. And then Brian Buxton getting the start over Pete Crow Armstrong, who debatably was the best player on Team USA, not named Roman Anthony. I don't get it. And then you rely and you call on your captain year after year, right? You always think about Canada and Sidney Crosby and always relying on him. He loses the sea, they lose in the Winter Olympics, right? Aaron Judge, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts, 2 of them looking, not even putting the bat off his shoulder. You can't do that. Not as the captain.
Yeah, and Joe, I like how you mentioned bringing the league into this as well, because there were guys that didn't play. Either they refused to play, the team wouldn't let them play. And I understand that's not where they make their money. They have a season to start. That's what they're focused on. But I think the World Baseball Classic just brings so many more eyes to the sport. It grows the sport tremendously. I think they mentioned on one of the broadcasts that Italy's game against Puerto Rico was their first ever nationally televised baseball game. So it really does grow the sport, and I think it's a shame that guys are being left out for reasons that are not affecting their season. Like, you don't want guys to get injured. Season's about to start. But I think there's some problems in there that make the World Baseball Classic a little less fun than it should be.
Flag beats logo every single time. Ask any player out there. The hockey players meant it. Ronald Acuna Jr. meant it. He's won everything that a player can win with the injuries he's had and the story he's had, right? I don't know if he's came out and said it, but I'm sure this title means more to him than winning the World Series. And my question is, how big of a difference is it for somebody to move their starting day back 1, 2, 3 days every 4 years is what people are at. Every 3 to 4 years, whatever it is that we're asking for at this point for people like Skubal. Okay, so you don't pitch on opening day, but you pitch on day 2 now. Like, I guess the MLB markets mean more because that's probably their hottest ticket item of the season is opening day. But it just sucks to see.
Yeah, and how much is game one going to matter 162 games later? I know they all matter, but like you said, Joe, you can push it back one day for the sake of your country.
And I mean, in comparison to hockey too, like the NHL used to be huge sticklers on the Olympics. I mean, obviously, NHL players weren't allowed to play in the Olympics for what was it, like 8 years or something. Yeah. But they finally made the right decision. NHLers able to play in the Olympics this time. It was an awesome Olympics, and I'm not just saying that because the USA won. Obviously, that's a huge reason why I'm so ecstatic about it. But it was great hockey all around. And you got to remember too, the NHL, they're interrupting their season for this. This is like a 3-week break during the season for the Olympics to go on. Whereas for baseball, the season hasn't even kicked off yet. And like you said, what's a game? What's 2 games in the span of an 182 game season? So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I completely agree. But we'll salt our wounds and come back. Brent is correct that Budweiser commercial is the greatest thing I've ever seen. With the eagle coming off the horse's back, playing Freebird. It is America. We love it. So I guess we're a hockey country now. I guess we're taking a new claim to fame, gentlemen.
I'm all for it. I love the NHL. Bring me more.
I'm all for it too, and we'll get into some NFL playoffs here in a couple weeks as a month down the stretch. That'll start turning up here a little bit. But gentlemen, without further ado, Braden, say the words.
March Madness.
Why do we start with an 8-9 game every year? My bracket is busted immediately. I don't even get a taste of perfection. It's just automatically dead.
It always starts that way. And I kind of like it because like the first game, I feel like everybody's glued to it. And usually the 8-9 matchups tend to be, I mean, they should be the closest of the round of 64. But I'm just so excited, man. It's here tomorrow.
We're eliminating 50% of all perfect brackets before the clock strikes 3 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Standard. But let's talk about the Buckeyes and the Horned Frogs. We each have some preview coverages of each of these games, but we do have a Sports Outlet Show prediction based on 3. It's nice when you have 3 people, because there's never a tie between the 3 of us with the S.O.S prediction. We're picking winners and the spreads for you sports bettors out there, and I'm sure they may have changed a little bit since Tuesday morning that we put these in, especially when we talk about Alabama. But we'll get to that when we get there, right? So the Horned Frogs, the Buckeyes, this should be a fun one. The spread's at 2.5 for the Buckeyes. This is a game about Ohio State's backcourt and TCU's front court. Ohio State's guard combo of Bruce Thornton and John Mobley Jr., no, not related to Evan Mobley of the Cavaliers, have been huge for the Buckeyes tournament appearance, with them averaging 36 points per game. And then when you look at the Horned Frogs, the forward combo of David Punch and Xavier Edmonds, they need to dominate the glass, continue their 13 rebounds per game and 27 point per game average. This should be a fun one, a front court, back court battle. It's always who's better. Is the board's going to matter more? Is the 3-point line going to be the dominant factor? I know we were split here decision between Ohio State and the Horned Frogs, bringing it up to Ohio State taking a win and a cover of -2.5. So that was Braden and I beating Brent out on the punch there. So Brent, if TCU wins, we'll change it.
Hey, and to be fair, I haven't watched either of these 2 teams the entire season. So, I wanted to throw a little upset there to start March Madness. And the buzz has been that TCU is a good basketball team. So that was the reason for my pick there.
Can we call 8-9 games upsets?
Hey, I mean, some of these games, the 9 is the favorite. So
if the AC wins, we can still call it an upset.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deal.
I just want to make sure we got that through. Send me over to the Cornhuskers.
Yeah. This, for me, is a huge storyline game. Nebraska is 0-8 all-time in the NCAA tournament, the only Power 4 program to never win a March Madness game. And that pressure is real if it gets tight. Currently, they are favored by 12.5, so quite comfortably. But Nebraska leans on Price Sanford, who is averaging 18 points per game versatile scorer, can stretch the floor, give them steady offense. But Troy relies on Victor Valdez, who brings toughness, energy as a physical presence inside. Nebraska is the better team on paper, but Troy's grit makes this uncomfortable for them. I think it's going to be close. If it's close late, that history starts to creep in a little bit for Nebraska. You get a little worried, but I'm going to go with Nebraska. Make history for yourself. No more Power 4 teams that do not have a March Madness win.
That's absolutely crazy.
It is crazy. 0-8. I mean, they've had their chances.
With how long Nebraska has been a Power 4 university, that's astounding to me that, okay, 0 March Madness wins.
To be fair, I don't know their seeding in any of those 8. That like they could be really, really low seeds. They're obviously not a huge basketball school, but I feel like by now you at least have one March Madness win.
I would think a lot of 8-9s are in there. I would have to think that. But Brent, the triple threat around here on the Sports Outlet Shows agrees with you. A clean sweep of Nebraska winning and Troy covering that 12.5 spread. It should be fun out of the Trojans from the Sun Belt to maybe give us our little first taste of an upset there at 12:40 p.m. Braden, there's a lot to cover on this one with some of the news that came out today. Tell me about this potential bracket buster.
Yeah, this is 3/4 of your early quad box, and honestly, it probably has a case to be on the main screen here. This is going to be a huge game. Starting at 1:30 is the tip-off. Louisville is currently 5.5-point favorites, but that might have changed. Like Joe said, we put these in on Tuesday morning. Some news has come out today that might have shifted that line quite a bit. I'm going to start with South Florida here. They're coming into the tournament as an 11 seed after winning the American, comfortably defeating Wichita State in the final round 70-55. They've won their last 11 games. Their last loss came against Temple back on January 31st. They're number 45 in the net rankings, and they're scoring 87.7 points per game, which is top 10 in the country. They're led by Wes Ennis, scoring 16.8 points per game, and Isaiah Nelson scoring 15.7 points per game and 9.6 rebounds per game. And Joe just informed me that the spread has changed. Louisville is now 4.5-point favorites. So Louisville comes in as number 6 seed. They lost in the ACC tournament quarterfinals against Miami, and they're 6-4 in their last 10 games. They're number 17 in the net rankings. They're allowing 72.2 points per game, which is 131 in the country. So they allow a lot of points. And freshman sensation, Mikel Brown Jr. will be inactive for at least the opening weekend of the tournament, including this game against South Florida. Guy's an absolute beast. He's been averaging 18.2 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, and 4.7 assists per game. He's projected top 10 pick in the 2026 NBA draft. So it's going to be absolutely devastating for Louisville to not have them early on in this tournament. They'll have to try to survive without him. And in that, they'll have to rely on Ryan Conwell to score for them. He averages 18.6 points per game and 4.8 rebounds for the Cardinals. I think that news with Mikel Brown Jr. being inactive is just going to be devastating for them. They are going to be playing for him, so they're going to be playing their hearts out, but I think it might come as a bit of a distraction, and they don't have their top guy. So I don't know if this was what I had on the original document, but I do now have South Florida winning it outright. And it looks like Joe and Brent have Louisville money line. So as a podcast, we got Louisville surviving.
I love the coverage, and I understand the first thing, and we'll talk about it with several teams, right? UNC's here, Alabama's in this situation too, with star players being out for various reasons, injury, drugs, whatever. But when you talk about Louisville, I mean, when they played the Hokies, we saw Brown come into the game, and he was a beast, right? But I also saw 3 or 4 other pieces of that team that's so incredible. And when it comes to college basketball, it's one of those things where, like, your star player doesn't always mean everything when it comes to men's basketball. And the fact Louisville has played so well, and Brown has barely been on the floor. And when he hasn't really been healthy. I think this 4.5 spread is a munchie for all sports betting fans out there, because I don't think the South Florida Bulls are better than Louisville with or without Brown. I think that 4.5 could be some munchie.
Yeah, this has been like one of the most popular upset picks of the entire round of 64. I think it could be a bit of a trap. I think it could be a trap. I think like you said, Joe, we saw in that Louisville Virginia Tech game, they have guys that can score all over that court. I can't say I've watched a lot of South Florida. A lot of people out there seem to like them, but I know what I've seen in Louisville, and I think they're a really good team. I'm right there with you.
Yep. Talking about major upsets and implications, the High Point Panthers have been the buzz around the NCAA tournament for several reasons. But first, let's talk about the Badgers that always seem to find themselves as the 5 seed in a 12 seed waiting to take their neck. We saw with JMU a couple years ago. We saw with several other matchups, and Wisconsin seems to sneak by time and time again. But Wisconsin, they're on upset watch in most people's brackets tomorrow afternoon. But this 1-2 punch of Nick Boyd and John Blackwell look to end the Cinderella storybook before they can even find out if the shoe fits. Boyd is averaging 20.6 points per game, and Blackwell close behind with 19 points per game. They look to be key players in the Badgers' backcourt against this High Point offense. Now, High Point, you love to talk about the March Madness stories. You got Doug Eater. Everybody remembers him. You may remember the name Jack Golke, the 10 3-point shooter out of Oakland. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to Chase Johnston for the High Point Panthers, who has shot 64 and 136 this year. And he has shot 64 and 132 from the 3-point line. I introduce you to what March Madness is all about. This guy is 0 for 4 from inside the arc and 64 for 132 from the 3-point line. This is what March and dreams are made of. Now, let's take that aside, right? He comes off the bench, but High Point also runs an aggressive front court, and Terry Anderson, who has exploded in the Big South tournament and looks to continue his 16 points per game and be a team leader for the Panthers alongside guard Rob Martin. I didn't believe in Oakland and picked him when I was told about this guy that could shoot the 3 ball. I'm going to believe in Chase Johnston. I've got an upset early in your number 4 quadrant that Braden was talking about in the early quad box. First of all, this quad box is stacked to start the day out with these 4 matchups. But I got a High Point winning outright and covering 9.5. Let the madness begin. And the S.O.S. agrees with it. Braden, Brent doesn't like us.
Hey, I really like Wisconsin, this team. They're Wisconsin this year. They've beaten a lot of good teams. Nick Boyd and they have another really good guard, John Blackwell. They're 2 of the best guards in the Big Ten. So I like them a lot. I haven't watched High Point at all. I did see that stat about the 3-point shooter that you brought up. And that's what March Madness is made of. So we'll see what happens. But I really like Wisconsin.
Brett, take me to the upset of the year.
I don't know about all that, boys. Hey, maybe we've seen it before. UMBC, Fairleigh Dickinson, it's all there. We've seen it. But Duke, they have plenty of firepower. They're led by freshman phenom Cameron Boozer, a polished forward who can score inside and out and looks like a potential NBA star. Very unlike Duke, am I right? They never have NBA basketball stars. Cooper Flagg, Con Knippel, Zion Williamson.
Who are those guys?
Yeah. I don't know. He has a brother on the team, Caden Boozer. Not quite as good as Cameron, but he runs the offense and brings composure at guard, giving Duke a dangerous 1-2 punch. The Blue Devils are dealing with injuries. Caleb Foster, the guy we all know about, likely out unless they make a deep run. I have seen some chatter that if they make it to a Final Four or something like that he could potentially play. Seems kind of like a long shot to me. I wouldn't want to rush him out there. And obviously a lot of people are picking Duke to win the entire bracket. So could be very likely that they do make it that far. But they're also dealing with a injury to their center, Patrick Ngongba. Actually sat out the ACC tournament, wasn't able to play for that, but he is trending toward playing in March Madness. Sienna, They have Sean Duragordon. I might be butchering that name. Haven't watched a lot of Siena this year. But looks like
What do you mean?
Hey, looks like a solid all-around scorer. He's their leading scorer for Siena. But boys, this is too tough of a matchup for Siena. They're gonna lose, and they're gonna lose by a lot. I have Duke winning and covering.
Yeah, I mean, let me look up Duke 2024 March Madness first round score, and let me read to you what it said, because I was like, oh, I thought they were good.
Was that the one they scored 100? I think one year they did.
Them. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm looking at. I need the 2025 bracket. Duh.
While you're looking at that, the spread of 29.5.
They beat Mount St. Mary's. They beat Mount St. Mary. For people that saying the spread is not fun, right? Duke beat Mount St. Mary's, a team that is way better than the Siena team, 93-49. They almost dropped 50 on them. So people that are scared of saying, oh my goodness, that's too many points. No, it's not. They could go up 30 in the first half.
Yeah, they probably will, to be honest with you.
And I think we all agree. My goodness. Oh, boy. Braden, are you going to give me actual basketball facts about this game, or are you going to talk about Aura?
He's there, and his results are undeniable at this point.
It's true.
But no, let's talk about the basketball here. This game is coming on at 3:15 p.m. Vanderbilt are currently 11.5-point favorites over McNeese State. For McNeese, they're coming in as a number 12 seed as they beat Stephen F. Austin in the Southland Conference Championship. And this game was allowed them to punch their ticket to their third straight appearance in the Big Dance. They've won their last 10 games, with their last loss coming against Stephen F. Austin on February 2nd. In their last two tournament appearances, they lost in the first round against Gonzaga in 2024. They beat Purdue in the first round last year and lost a close game against Clemson in the second round of the 2025 tournament. Their go-to guy is guard Larry Johnson, who's scoring 17.5 points per game and grabbing 5.5 rebounds per game. Vanderbilt entered the tournament as the 5 seed. They lost against Arkansas in the SEC tournament after dismantling Florida in the semifinal, 91-74. Crazy impressive win there. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, with losses against Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky, however. They're number 13 in the net rankings, and their lead man is guard Tyler Tanner. He's averaging 19.1 points per game, 5.5 assists, and 2.4 steals per game, which is tied for 10th in the nation in steals per game. They have another great pickpocket in guard Duke Miles, who averages 2.7 steals per game, which is number 3 in the country. So they're good at creating turnovers, this Vanderbilt team is. What's interesting is neither team is particularly adept at rebounding. Vanderbilt averages 35.3 boards per game, and McNeese averages 35.2, which is number 182 and 187 in the country, respectively. So I guess somebody in this game has to win the battle on the glass. I think it's going to be Vanderbilt. They look special against Florida. I don't think McNeese, the aura is not enough to beat the solid basketball that Vanderbilt is playing. So I have Vanderbilt winning. But I do have McNeese covering. So I think there's a little bit of scare here for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I think we had a triple coverage here on, again, Vanderbilt winning and McNeese State covering the spread. But what people need to remember is obviously McNeese State winning last year, right? And Aura happened, and the Buffalo Wild Wings NIL deal happened for a college manager for the first time ever. It was all really cool. And then Will Wade goes to NC State. He takes 95% of this roster with him. And like one starter stays at the end of the day. So people don't get caught up in the March Madness magic of the past. It's time to focus on the future and the fact that Vanderbilt just beat the best team, one of the best teams in the country by 20 plus. So don't forget that. But again, the Cowboys it's March. They could stay within this 11.5, and I think they keep it competitive.
It's those 5 and 12 matchups. Always interesting.
It is.
Yeah, I like Vanderbilt a lot. Really quick. I think they're a Sweet 16 team. I think they meet Florida again in the Sweet 16. Don't know if it's going to go as good as last time. Obviously, Florida being a 1 seed, one of the best teams in the nation. But I think Vanderbilt is really, really hot right now and coming in to March Madness at the right time.
Yep, I agree. There's nothing like conference championship weekend that shows you that the North Dakota State Bison play D1 basketball, first of all, and second of all, they play in the Summit League. So a little factoid there for you. But let's talk about the Michigan State Spartans. And Braden, I think this is the team that you've seen me watch the most with Michigan State. The Spartans are led by point guard Jeremy Fears. Yes, Jeremy Fears Jr. Yes, he is the brother of Jeremiah, the former OU point guard, plays for the Pelicans 1 year, 1 out in the NBA. He leads the Spartans with 15.5 points per game, 9 assists, and 1.3 steals. And that's not even the half of it. This combination of Fears, Cohen Carr, and Jackson Kohler taking second chance opportunities on the board, it's not fair for teams like the Bison that are coming up against them. The Spartans are a team to look out for them more than just North Dakota State. For crying out loud, this isn't FCS football. Making their appearance for the first time since 2019, the Bison are looking towards a tough neutral site match against this Michigan Spartans team. Damari Wheeler-Thomas is running the front court alongside Travian Carson. They've been great for the Bison so far this year. But I mean, guys, they say it this way: January, February, Izzo. It's Tom Izzo. It's March. I think Michigan State is going to dominate this game. I understand you guys are against me on the spread, though, so feel free to jump in.
I haven't watched much of North Dakota State, but it's a 16.5 is a lot. We'll see how it goes. It's
fun to have. Yeah, it's fun to have NDSU in here. You always know them as a football school, and I think Izzo's going to start a little bit slow. They're still going to win pretty handedly. I think the spread's going to be tight, but I think NDSU does cover before Michigan State starts their real dominance.
Now, if there's one team I know Brent's watched every single game, every single minute of this entire year, tell me about Hawaii.
Yeah, absolutely, boys. You know, those midnight games, I just love them. I love them during football and during basketball season. But no, the real team here is Arkansas, coming in rolling after an SEC tournament title against Vanderbilt, as Braden just mentioned. And they've got one of the most dangerous players in the entire field in Darius Acuff Jr., a dynamic guard putting up 22.9 points per game and 6.5 assists per game. He's a true takeover scorer and elite playmaker, the kind of guy who can control a game from start to finish and elevate everyone around him. Coach Cal loves a guy like that. We all know that. Hawaii, they lean on big man Isaac Johnson, who provides interior scoring and toughness, but this matchup is a big step up in speed and talent for the Rainbow Warriors. Add in the travel factor and Arkansas's momentum, obviously just said, coming off the SEC tournament win. It's a really, really tough spot for Hawaii. I've seen people pick this as an upset. I don't see it at all. 15.5 point spread says otherwise. I think Arkansas wins and covers.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Brent. This Arkansas team just won an SEC title. This is going to be a blowout. Braden, another huge matchup that I think we'll spend a little bit more time on between VCU and UNC.
Yeah, absolutely. So this game is coming on at 6:50 p.m. Eastern. The spread is currently 2.5 for UNC. And you might think that's a little close for a 6 and 11 matchup. There's reasons for that, and we're going to get into it. Starting with VCU, they're an 11 seed after claiming the A10 championship over Dayton, 70-62 on Selection Sunday to get their way in. They've won 9 of their last 10, with their only loss coming against St. Louis on February 20th. So that's a good team that they lost to in St. Louis. They're number 43 in the net rankings. Guys to watch are guard Terrence Hill Jr. He's averaging 14.4 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game. And forward Lazar Djokovic, averaging 13.5 points per game and 5.4 rebounds per game. For North Carolina, they're the number 6 seed after losing to Clemson in the ACC tournament quarterfinal. They're number 24 in net rankings. They've lost 4 in their last 10, starting with a loss against Miami. And coincidentally, that game was the last game star freshman and projected top 5 NBA draft pick Caleb Wilson played in. He's been an absolute beast. He leads the team in each of the top 5 statistical metrics with 19.8 points per game, 19.4 rebounds per game, 2.7 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.4 blocks. Like I said, he leads the team in all of those categories. So it's safe to say the Tar Heels have been missing him and will miss him during this tournament. They will rely on Henry Visar and Seth Trimble to pick up the pieces and carry this team. I think this game is very interesting, and the spread indicates it as well. VCU has been in these situations before. They've gone on runs in the March Madness tournament. A little bit of a Cinderella story for them a couple years back. It's more than a couple at this point, but yeah, they've been here before. North Carolina has not looked like the same team without Caleb Wilson. I think this is a huge spot for an upset. I'm going VCU.
Brent, I know you agree with it, which forces the hand right of the S.O.S graphic that I have to slap up there. But I think about one game in particular. I think about on the 23rd when they played at number 24 Louisville, and Seth Trimble went off for 30 points. And Trimble's been huge for the Tar Heels. They have a huge guy in the middle, in Visar, right? You talk about VCU, and the only 3 games they lost in A10 play was to St. Louis twice, and George Mason. I can understand where you both are coming from, but in my mind, Brent, you used the word trap when we were talking about the Louisville game. I think this is an even bigger one. I think this UNC offense is dynamic. They're great at on-the-ball defense. They will have nobody that can cover Visar inside the paint, and we saw what he did to the Hokies when we couldn't cover him in one half, putting up 18. I don't agree with the fellows on the screen here. I think this is a trap one. And I think UNC can handedly win this one too. But, it's March and you never know. I understand you got to root for the Virginia schools, but I'm not doing it. However, the Bison, let me talk to you about them. That's called a transition.
I think they're technically DC. It doesn't count.
Okay. All right. We won't count them. Now, Michigan has been a number 1 seed in March Madness since their November dismantling of Auburn when they were good, and Gonzaga early November, great non-conference schedule. Their tall front court of Yaxel Lendeborg, he's a 6'9" senior, averages 14.6 points per game, and Morez Johnson is a 6'9" senior. Those are some tall guys, right? What if I told you that was their small and their power forward? What if I told you they had a center that combines very nicely at 7'3" from Spain, Ade Mara, having one of the tallest and fastest teams in college hoops? They are looking at this like a laughable, dominating scrimmage and getting revenge for your UMBC Retrievers that have every right to play in March Madness. Let's talk about Howard. Howard got into the round of 64 for the first time since 2023, and they look for their first March Madness win in program history. Right there with Nebraska, baby. Getting a draw with the Wolverines is as tough a test as it comes, and Howard is going to need Oze Akoji to rip off at least 23 more points like he did last night to keep the possessions of this game low and find a way this game's a blowout. They're winning by 31.5. I tried to do the coverage, guys. I really did. I really tried.
Hey, they don't call it the Big Ten for nothing. I know Purdue has a lot of giants on their team as well. It just seems to be the way the conference has taken shape as they get a lot of these big guys in. So
they're huge.
Let's go, Howard.
They don't want to hear that either. It reminds them of their head coach that hits people.
All right, guys. This one's mine. Coming off a big game yesterday. Serious momentum. serious momentum for the Texas Longhorns after surviving the play-in against the NC State Wolfpack. Thanks to 2 clutch buckets from Trayman Mark in the final minute that sealed the win. Those buckets were tough too. They were fadeaways, guys in your face, and really, really clutch for the Longhorns there. But that's the kind of late game confidence you want in March. The Longhorns, though, they run through Dalen Swain, who literally does everything for them. He leads the team in points. he leads the team in rebounds, assists, and steals as well. So all of the 4 big categories there, making him one of the most complete players in the entire field. BYU, though, they have an answer of their own, and he might be the best player in the entire sport, maybe even better than Cameron Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, who's putting up a ridiculous 25.3 points per game, best in college basketball, and is widely projected as of now as the number 1 overall NBA draft pick. He's a pure takeover scorer who can win a game by himself. I think this one comes down to star versus team. BYU has the best player, but I think Texas has momentum, toughness, and they have their own guy in Swain who impacts every single facet of the game. I think Texas wins in an upset.
I'll just put it up there. I'll just put it up there real quick.
Hey,
Brent,
I was just gonna say we always see one of these play-in teams make it to like the Sweet 16. This is my pick for the play-in team, Texas.
Well, all I need to say is the fact that the spread is 1.5 speaks for itself. It's the lowest between the 6-11 matchup. It is going to be a fun one, but you talked about AJ Brent and the dynamic baller that he absolutely is. Points, rebounds, assists, steals, lets a have it. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, the Cougars, I actually have not just beating Texas, but I have them beating Gonzaga in the next round too, because they're always fraudulent. But I think this is going to be a fun match. Again, day 1 is loaded.
I think that's valid. I think whoever wins this game could easily beat Gonzaga. I think it's at least worth talking about. It's definitely going to be a good game regardless.
But can St. Mary's beat Texas A&M? That's the question everybody's asking.
It's a great one. This game comes on at 7:35. St. Mary's is 3.5-point favorites currently. So starting with Texas A&M, they're number 10 seed after being dismantled by Oklahoma 83-63 in the second round of the SEC tournament. They've lost 7 of their last 11 games, including a 4-game skid against Alabama, Florida, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. They're number 44 in the net rankings. They are top 10 in points per game with 87.7, but they also allow a ton of points at 79.6, which is tied for number 321 in the nation. So that's a lot of points.
Jeez.
A lot of points on both sides of the ball there. Their forward, Rashawn Agee, is their man. He's averaging 14.7, 8.9, and 2.4, and 0.8 blocks per game. For St. Mary's, they lost in the West Coast Conference semifinal against Santa Clara. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're number 22 in net rankings, and they're a top 10 defense in the country, allowing just 64.6 points per game. They're a very well-balanced team with each of their 5 starters making a meaningful impact game in and game out. Paulius Moraskis leads the team with 18.8 points per game. Center Andrew McKeever brings in 9.2 rebounds per game, and Joshua Dent averages 5.7 assists and 1.6 steals per game. This is going to be a game of Texas A&M's offense against St. Mary's defense. And then the other side of the ball, St. Mary's offense is much better than Texas A&M's defense. So by all metrics, it seems like Texas A&M should lose this game, and the spread agrees. But give me Texas A&M, another upset here. They win outright.
A&M being a 10 seed is literally direct results of them losing to Oklahoma in the SEC tournament. They're one of the better SEC teams out there. They're the lowest ranked SEC team that isn't named Texas. I think the Aggies handle this quickly, and we see teams from the West Coast Conference, Gonzaga, Santa Clara this year, as well as St. Mary's. I mean, we see the lesser power of opponents they play, and then they play a team that's used to this style of ball. We're a clean sweep here with the Aggies taking care of business. Braden, you owe an apology to Penn real quick. I'll let you do that.
I do. Okay, so when we were talking about the conference championships last week, I mentioned Yale, I mentioned Harvard, I mentioned Cornell. I wasn't even sure Penn was the 3 seed. I completely disregarded them. I apologize. They took that to heart and won the tournament, and their guy dropped 44 points in that game. So he shut me up.
So, Braden, we decided your punishment. Me and Brent had a 25-hour phone call, trying to decide what to do for the statement of the Sports Outlet Show. And we've decided that post your graduation, you have to apply to Penn for a graduate degree.
Quite the punishment. Quite the punishment.
Hey, man, if you get in, you got to go. That's the only thing. It's the only thing. Tuition covered by somebody, not me.
I was gonna say you'd only be an additional like 6 figures in debt, so you'd
It's
be
fine.
there.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, but he'd have a degree from the fourth best Ivy League school. So there you go. There you go. But Braden, I appreciate it. Now I can talk about the game. So thank you. Brad Underwood is leading the Fighting Illini into Greenville after losing in the quarterfinal to Wisconsin. Talked about them earlier, just a week ago. Keaton Wagler, the freshman 6'6" guard, projected to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. I feel like we have, besides Peterson of Kansas, just talked about every top 10 player picked to be in the draft. 17.9 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, and 4 assists, and is the heart and soul of this team, averaging 34 minutes a game, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's about 4 to 5 minutes above every other player on the Fighting Illini. His athleticism to steal, board, and bucket makes him a showcase to watch on Thursday, but you pair him up with three-point specialist David Mirkovic, and you have yourself a mouthful and a handful that is certain to leave Penn quaking in their sneakers. Penn pulls off the unthinkable, taking out Harvard in overtime and then Yale in overtime. Who's superior now, Braden? Forward TJ Power, say his name, went off. Braden mentioned it earlier, 44 points and 14 rebounds beyond his normal 16.8 and 9.7 pace. The Quakers will need to play quick, disciplined, and light it up from behind the arc because they won't be able to get into the paint with these guys very often. Braden, barring the fact that this guy scores 55, I'm taking Illinois in the cupboard. But it looks like you're showing some love to Penn. Is that out of guilt or are you back?
We do have a guilty conscience. I do think Illinois is going to take the win, but Penn's going to cover. I just had to put some karma back in the world with the disrespect that I gave him earlier.
Okay, good.
Braden, put your balls on the table and pick Penn right now.
Money line.
Pull up BetMGM. I want to see it. $1,000.
It's okay. Illinois is going to win.
But Braden, if Penn wins with that $1,000, you can pay for your college tuition.
You're so right. So right.
And if you lose, at least you're a man of your word. Tell me about the Bulldogs.
Yeah, this one's me, boys. And we did a lot of talking about Amir Ora Khan. Let's talk about the real aura of March Madness this year. His name is Robbie Avila, or as he likes to go by, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, baby. The goggles, the footwork, the passing. He's basically a rec league legend who somehow wandered into March Madness and started cooking everyone. But the thing is, boys, it's not a gimmick. He's a legit point center who can score, facilitate, and completely control the flow of a game. And yes, he's the same guy from the 2023 Indiana State team that just fell short of the tournament. Awesome story. I hope he makes it far. Georgia, on the other hand, their best shot comes from Jeremiah Wilkinson, who's averaging 17 a game and can get hot quickly from the perimeter. But this feels like an Avila showcase to me, boys. If he's dealing, St. Louis becomes a nightmare to guard. I'm picking St. Louis in the win for the upset.
Did you say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Kareem. That's what he goes by, baby.
What the heck? I love it. How can you pick against a team like that?
I know, this is what March is made of. Cream.
What is going on? Braden, I'm going to stop the nonsense. Keep us rolling.
This game's late night. Not the last game we're going to be tipping off here, but it's pretty close at 10 p.m. And it's probably not going to be one you want to watch. Gonzaga are 20.5 point favorites. Obviously, we're watching it. It's March Madness, but it's not going to be a good game is what I mean. Kennesaw State won the CUSA championship versus Louisiana Tech 71-60. They're number 155 in the net ranking. Their guard, RJ Johnston, is going to be their go-to guy. He's averaging 14.5 points per game, 4 assists, and 1.2 steals per game. And their forward, Franquan Sherman, leads the team in rebounds with 8.4 per game. For Gonzaga, they show up as a 3 seed after beating Santa Clara in the West Coast Conference Championship game. They've won 8 of their last 10. They're number 7 in net rankings with a 30-3 record. They won 15 straight games midseason. They didn't have a single loss in December or January. They're number 17 in the country in both points per game at 85.1 and points allowed at 66.0 per game. Graham Ike leads the team with 19.7 points per game and 8.2 rebounds per game, and Braden Smith is 8th on the team in minutes played per game, but leads the team in assists per game at 3.8. So he might not play all the time, but he definitely makes the most of his minutes. Guys, Gonzaga is always here in March. They're always a high seed. They always choke, though. But it's not going to be tomorrow against Kent Scott State. Gonzaga is going to win. And Kent State might give them a little bit of a scare. They're going to cover 20.5.
I don't disagree with you. And I don't think I need to waste any more breath on Gonzaga. Talking about the nightcap, Braden, you talked about Gonzaga. This game tips off at 10 p.m., and you best believe I'll be watching the Idaho Vandals. Not just because it's Idaho, but we'll get to it. First of all, Houston, Kelvin Sampson coaches elite defense, playing physical, and having slow-tempo basketball. It's how they held number 14 Kansas to just 47 points in the Big 12 tournament just a week ago. But, guys, this backcourt between Kingston Flemings, Emmanuel Sharp, and Milos Uzan might just be the best backcourt combination in the entire NCAA. They're a triple-point, three-point threat that can take you any which way. Flemings is the leader, if you want to call him the captain of that trio, with 16.4 points per game, a 1.6 steals, and 5.3 assists per game. If they can win the rebound battle against the Vandals, they're going to win this game by 40+. Now, hold on. It's March Madness. We got the 15 seed here. Idaho, welcome to the dance. They're making their NCAA return for the first time in 36 years. The Vandals shocked the Big Sky, winning as a 7 seed in the tournament, and an upset will fully rely on the hands of Colton Mitchell and Jackson Rasmussen, both seniors from Idaho. Talk about playing for your own brand. This is the nightcap of day number 1 of March Madness. Unfortunately, this Houston team could easily be a number 1 seed. I think this is where Idaho, they run out of starch and they get mashed right into the offseason.
Nice.
So they have a beautiful stadium, by the way. I saw a picture of that floated on Twitter today. It's really nice. Really
the basketball
nice.
Stadium?
Idaho, yep.
They have an even nicer football stadium, the Kibbe Dome. Check it out. If you're, the next time you just have, an hour free lunch and you find yourself in Idaho, go check it out.
I'd be down.
All right, let's plan it. We're going. Now, fellas, we're halfway through our segment. We obviously have all of Friday to cover. We always know March Madness is a bit of a longer podcast, bit of a longer one. Going to need some coffee after this. But it's time for the blind top 10. We know why the people are here. We give the people what they want. Gentlemen, I think about, sitting around all day and I'm like, really hungry during March Madness. There are a couple things you can go get. We've already done tailgating. We've talked about pizza toppings. But every all-time scorer, the big star dish, needs their sidekick side player to get you a little extra full in the belly. And today, it's one word with an exclamation point. You have blind top 10 chips.
I like it.
Think about the little munchies you're going to get in your tummy. Brent, I believe you are first this week. And let me get this pulled up here. Look at that. And I did my homework. Now, Brent, I will let you know that if this goes poorly, you're going to have to apply to Harvard for your doctorate.
Sounds good.
All right. It should be easy. It should be simple.
Yeah.
Here we go. At number 1, Brent, and these are specific to the verbiage I use for it. That is your hint. There is no game changers in this. It is specific to the verbiage. At number 1, you have the hint of lime Tostitos.
Ooh, that's a good one to start on. I like the hint of lime. A little bit better than the regular for sure. Um, it's nice with a little salsa to dip it in. I'll be honest, it's nice. It's nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna play it safe with this one. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go like 6. I think that's fine for hint of lime.
Okay. Braden, would you have put this higher?
Yeah. There's some great chips out there. There's some great chips. Hint of
At
lime is one
number
of my favorites, but there's definitely some good ones.
At number 2, Braden, you have the nacho cheese Doritos.
It's a classic. It's a classic. Yeah, I used to eat those all the time for lunch back in school. They're definitely a top tier chip. You know, there's always the debate between Cool Ranch, nacho cheese, spicy chili. But I like the
Chips.
nacho cheese. They're pretty good. I'm gonna put them at 4.
Braden, you did always have these in your lunch because I stole them all the time.
Yeah.
At number 3, you've got Lay's salt and vinegar chips.
Oh my gosh, dude. These are some of my favorites. I'll be real with you. You can't have a ton of them or your mouth is going to be hurt.
Yep, it's true.
But they are top tier. They're in my top 3 for sure. I don't know if I can put them number 1 or not because I don't know what's coming. I think I'm going to put them at number 2.
I know salt and vinegar can be polarizing for a lot of people, but I know we all enjoy it quite a bit.
Salt and vinegar is the best.
If I'm at like Subway or something and getting some chips, I'm usually picking the salt and vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, every time. Braden, let's take it over from the vinegar side to the spicy side. You have Takis.
Dude, I like Takis. Takis are good, but there's a lot of good chips out there. Can you even really consider them a chip? They're the tube shape. They're not your typical chip shape that you're used to.
They're a chip.
I like Takis, but I don't think they're gonna be on the top half of my list here. I think I'll put them at 8.
Okay.
I agree with you, Braden. These were like the craze in like 2017, 2018 high school lunch. But they're good. They're spicy. I like them, but I don't think they're top tier.
For sure.
They hurt my tummy.
They do.
I handle spice very well, but then it's rough. You guys know what I'm saying without saying it. Guys, really nice little ladder you got going here with the 4. This one, it's the only double you'll see today. There's a hint for you. You got the Lay's baked potato chips, the baked Lay's.
Yeah, I can't say I eat a lot of the baked ones. I'll be real with you. I eat the baked Cheetos from time to time. Just because I can't say I eat a ton of it, I think I am going to put it up near the lower end. I think I'm going to put it at 9.
All right. Braden, back to you at number 6. You have the OG original Cheeto.
Cheetos, not cheese puff. Okay, I like Cheetos. They're good. They're definitely very artificial. You're not getting a lot of natural flavors in any of these chips, if we're being honest. But they're good in small doses. Our Cheetos. I think I'll put them at 7.
All right. In the next one, you have sour cream and onion Ruffles.
Okay. Is it the wait, Ruffles always have the lines,
The
right?
ridges. Yes.
The ridges.
Yes.
Okay. I like sour cream and onion. I don't know if they're top 5 though. Is the problem for me? They're solid. I think they are average though. I think they're average. I'm gonna put them at 5.
Sour cream and onion is always like a middle of the pack flavor.
Yep.
It's like if I see it and it's got like the French onion dip at the party, I'll eat it.
Oh my
But
gosh!
I'm not going out of my way for it.
French onion dip is a game changer.
Braden, this will be a hot take, but you have to appreciate the brand. you have the OG Pringles.
The OG Pringles. Dude, Pringles are great. I think they're one of the better like original flavors. They do have a good original chip. I don't think I can put it top 3 though, so it's gonna have to go at 10, which feels wrong.
Wow.
I think that's fine. I feel like the flavors of chips are better than the original. I'm with you on that.
All right, you got 1 and 3 open, so a little room to play with here, Brent. But you have the Harvest Cheddar Sun Chips.
Man, I'll be honest. These aren't my favorite. I'm more of a garden salsa guy myself.
Yes.
Garden salsa sun chips are my favorite of the sun chip brand. And
I
if
like
that
the
was
French
on here,
onion.
if that was
French
on,
onion.
if garden salsa was on here, I would comfortably put that in my top 3. I don't feel good about putting this in my top 3. And honestly, if I probably would have put this at 10 if I'm being real with you guys. So I'll put it at 3 because that's our lowest we got.
I agree with you, Brent. I've never been a fan of that particular sun chip. And Gordon
Really?
Solster's just so much better.
I like that
Yes.
one. All right, you guys are going in blind for number 1. This is the second time this has happened on the Sports Outlet Show, and last time it worked well for you, so we'll see. At your number 1, you have the white cheddar popcorners.
I like popcorners. Probably not number 1, but yeah, not great here.
I thought this was going so well, and then it just all crumbled at the end.
Just completely fell apart.
So Fritos was a conversation of being in here. Honestly, there weren't too many others. But the Cool Ranch versus Nacho Cheese battle was hectic because I'm a Cool Ranch guy.
Me too.
I lost the fight.
Yeah, I'm Cool Ranch as well. And honestly, I thought seeing the nacho cheese, I was kind of thinking that might be on the list, and I was hoping that I could slide that in at number 1. But it is what it is.
You guys need to bounce back next week.
Yeah, not good.
It's okay. They can't all be 10s, or else people would stop watching. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get them next time. Well, thank you guys for watching that abomination. We have 16 more games to roll through here. That's going to be happening on Friday night. Thanks for hanging out here in our blind top 10 that we have every time that the Sports Outlet Show comes on. We know it's a fan favorite and what keeps you coming back and wanting more. But let's kick it over to Brent, continue our coverage here of March Madness with another big upset implication.
Yeah. We got Santa Clara and Kentucky kicking off the Friday slate. Santa Clara is led by Christian Hammond, smooth scorer averaging 15.8 points per game, who can create his own shot and keep the Broncos in rhythm offensively. Kentucky's go-to is Otega Owe, putting up 18.2 points per game and 1.8 steals per game, bringing two-way impact with his ability to score and disrupt defensively. Kentucky has the athletes, but they've been vulnerable at times, and we've seen it all season long. They've lost some upset spots. I think if Hammond gets going for Santa Clara and this turns into a shot-making game, I think Santa Clara can absolutely steal it, and that's what I'm predicting. I'm predicting Santa Clara in the upset.
I know that you and Braden are aligned here, and I have like the same feeling about this one that I do about UNC VCU, and I'm just personally, as a person, not seeing this team getting upset in Kentucky. I know Santa Clara made the West Coast Championship. If you look at their schedule, they really haven't beaten anybody crazy outside of their conference play. It just feels like one of those tests that they're not ready for. But again, we'll say it again. It's March Madness. But Kentucky minus 3.5 is one of my favorite bets too. So, it's nice that we can disagree.
Yeah, I think Kentucky's going to Kentucky. So I agree with you, Brent. But if it's not on Friday, it's going to be soon because Kentucky they always be doing this in March.
That is true. Braden, another big implication match coming early Friday morning.
Yeah, I think this is a great game. I think this has potential to be one of the closest games of the weekend, despite the 7.5-point spread that Texas Tech are favored. For Akron, they won the MAC championship versus Toledo, 79-76. They won their last 10 games, and their last loss came against Troy on February 7th. They're number 54 in the net rankings, and these guys score a lot of points. They're number 7 in the country at 88.4 points per game, and they're averaging 10 made three-pointers per game. Their guard Tavari Johnson averages 20.1 points and 5 assists per game for them. And Evan Mahafady, I may have mispronounced that, and Shama Scott also make a strong impact, and all of their guards shoot over 30% from three, with a couple of them shooting over 40%. And for Texas Tech, they lost their last 4 games, including the Big 12 quarterfinal matchup against Iowa State, 75-53. They were absolutely dismantled in that game, but Iowa State's one of the best teams in the country. For Texas Tech, they're number 18 in the net rankings. They've lost 6 of their last 12, and that is in large part due to the loss of JT Toppin. He devastatingly tore his ACL last month. For Texas Tech, they're going to miss him very much, and we just hope he recovers quickly. But with Texas Tech, they've been number 11 in the country, 21.8 points per game, and 7th in the country in rebounds per game. That's 21.8. So they're 7th in the country in rebounds per game at 10.8, and also lead the team in stocks per game at 3.1. This team is that's JT Toppin's stats. Excuse me. He's number 11 in the country, 21.8 points per game, 7th in the country in rebounds per game at 10.8. So they're going to be missing him quite a bit. As a team, they're number 5 in the country in 3-point percentage at 39.6%, thanks to Donovan Atwell, who is 2nd in the country in 3 points made per game at 3.9. He averages 13.5 points, with almost all of that coming from behind the arc, and they will lean on him heavily this tournament without Toppin. I have Texas Tech winning, but like I said, I think this is going to be a really, really close game. I think Akron covers.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun one. Early Friday morning, Braden, you talked about 4 in a row. They've lost without JT Toppin, and obviously not having him for a month. Their star player has shown how much they miss him. And Akron, a team that just won the MAC, right? They didn't get that chance to beat Miami, Ohio. First of all, called out this championship. Thank you very much. Sign that paper. Thank you. Sign that one. All right. Appreciate it. But, Texas Tech, not a team to mess around with. I also have them winning, but I do have them covering the 7.5 spread. Again, I think tonight's match with Miami, Ohio, and SMU is going to tell us a lot about this one too. And thank goodness that's at 9:15. We'll be wrapped before then. Don't worry.
Boys, we love the Akron Zips on this pod.
Yeah, we do. We loved them when they were 2-10 in football. We'll love them if they lose this game on Friday. Got zip reason not to. Anyways, over here with the Arizona Wildcats, guys, this is the number 2 team in the nation, highlighting a star lineup of Koa Pete and Braden Burries, who lead with 13.6 points per game and 15.9 respectively. But Pete's draft stock is a mid-first round draft value, has a chance to soar with a couple key players being out of March Madness with his mid-first round draft value. Obviously, a ton of NBA scouts are going to be watching March Madness all week long, and the Wildcats look to make a major run after capping off a huge Big 12 championship over Houston on Saturday. Now, Long Island, you guys might not know more about them than they may be your favorite cocktail, but they are an NCAA basketball team, and they're making their first appearance since 2018. But what you may not know is you may not notice the Long Island Sharks in March Madness. It's because they've never been the Long Island Sharks in March Madness. They were furthermore known as the LIU Brooklyn Blackbirds when they last came back in 2018. So a little fun fact there for you. But they won the Northeastern Conference over Mercyhurst last Tuesday, so they've been 10 days without play already. Jamal Fuller looks to join the elite company of UMBC and FDU with a major upset here over a highly seeded number 1 Arizona Wildcats. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, enjoy your Long Island iced teas, because this is the last you'll hear the Sharks in March. I have Arizona winning and covering minus 31.5. This team's disgusting.
Fins up.
We love Long Island here, but Arizona's my team to win it all. So Arizona's covering.
All right, and Brent has this one, and I don't need to be here for this. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, Virginia, unfortunately, they are a top-tier team this year. They're anchored by Feast-Day Ritter. He's averaging 15.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, and the fan favorite Jakarmi, led by Jakari White, whose energy and leadership elevate the team as well. UVA, they play suffocating defense and move the ball expertly, but we all remember March hiccups against UMBC, Furman. So nothing is guaranteed with this team. But I will say, Wright State counters with TJ Birch, a steal machine averaging 2.5 steals per game, who can create transition opportunities and keep the Raiders competitive. Virginia is the better team, but Birch and the Raiders' speed make this one interesting deep into the second half, in my opinion. I think Virginia wins and Wright State covers.
Yeah, I'm right alongside you, Brent. You talked about the UMBC upsets. We've talked about a couple, right? I'm trying to get the exact thing pulled up here. Just give me 10 seconds. We talked about last year, right? Or 2 years ago, obviously they missed last year, the 2024 tournament, when it was a joke that UVA got in the first four, right? When they were 10 seed, they lost by 25 to Colorado State. They lost in 2023 to Furman. They lost in 2021 to Ohio. They lost in 2018 to UMBC. So besides the 2019 national championship run, guys, UVA hasn't won a March Madness game in 7 years. That's ridiculous for a program that prides themselves on the love of men's basketball. But Brent, I think, said it the best. This UVA team has a bunch of dynamic pieces. They have a huge center in the middle that's just terrorizing defenses. Guys, I'll say it from the heart because I'll always, although I may not like them from time to time, right, being a Hokie fan, but I have UVA going to the Elite Eight, and it's possible they come out of this Final Four. They're that good.
I'm with you, Joe. I had them going far in my bracket. I can't remember if it was just the Sweet 16 or if they made it to the Elite Eight, but definitely at least the Sweet 16 for this team. Yep. They played really, really well in that ACC championship against Duke. Honestly, surprised it was so close down to the end there. But I really like them. I think they can make a run.
I agree with you guys, but I liked Kyle Guy's bracket where he had them losing in the second round to Tennessee.
But tell me about the Tigers, Braden, because I know you're picking them.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No. This game is at 2:50 on Friday, 2:50 p.m. Eastern. Ohio State's are 24.5-point favorites. Talking about Tennessee State, the Tigers dominated Morehead State in the OVC championship game, 93-67, to punch their ticket to the tournament for the first time since 1994. So huge for them. They're number 172 in the net ranking. They have a guard duo of Aaron Nkrumah and Travis Harper II that led scoring for the Tigers with 17 points per game and 17.3 points per game, respectively. Ohio State, the two-seeded Cyclones lost against Arizona in the Big 12 semifinal against Arizona, 80-22, showing that they are one of the best teams in this tournament despite the loss. They started the season 15-0, and each of their 7 losses came in the second half of the season. They're number 6 in net rankings. They lean on their defense most of the time. They allow only 65.1 points per game, which is top 15 in the country. Forward Joshua Jefferson is the most versatile player on the team and on the court. He's averaging 16.9 points, 7.6 rebounds, 4.9 assists, and 1.7 steals per game. I have Iowa State winning and covering 24.5. I think this team is going to go very far. They're number 2 seed. They're obviously one of the best teams in the country. They're very, very good.
Yeah, the Cyclones are definitely a team to continue to watch. Braden, you said it well. This 24.5 is a pretty low spread, in my opinion, too. I think they easily cover. Well, let's get the elephant out of the room, right? The Hofstra Pride versus the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, this should be a regular basketball game, but it's not. Star Aiden Holloway, the Alabama Crimson Tide transfer, was arrested on Monday for felony marijuana possession of over 2 pounds of marijuana in his apartment in Tuscaloosa. He was also charged with a second felony for failing to pay the state tax required for possessing that amount of marijuana, as well as authorities found drug paraphernalia, a vacuum-sealed bag, a rolling tray, packaging material, and a bottle of promethazine without a prescription in the residence. Holloway claims that he is not selling.
It's all for him.
Aiden Holloway's NIL valuation is $286,000, according to Google sources, right? But Aiden Holloway being suspended, he's suspended off the team. He's been dismissed from campus. He was released on bail, but I mean, I'm not your News 9 station, so I just use research for that. So if someone's wrong, it's not my fault. But 2.1 pounds of weed, and spreads have already changed a little bit for the Crimson Tide. Aiden Holloway was one of the best players on the Crimson Tide. So now it is up to LeBaron Filon Jr., who averages 21.7 points per game. That's 12th in the country. And Latrell Wrightsell with 12.8 points per game. They're a team to keep an eye on in March Madness if they can overcome Holloway's dismissal. They're a really sneaky 4 seed until that star guard arrest happened. Holloway was averaging 16.8 points per game. And this all happened after Nate Oates and Alabama got upset by Ole Miss in the SEC tourney. And that was the second worst thing to happen in Tuscaloosa over the weekend. So, I mean, we can talk about NIL and all this sort of stuff and what the heck's happening here. Bad decisions, bad moments, bad for March Madness. But Hofstra, they're playing clean. They took over the CAA in DC last week. They punched their ticket to a matchup with the Crimson Tide. It's led by guard Cruz Davis. He averages 20 points a game and 4.6 assists. And Hofstra looks to become one of the upsets on opening weekend of this madness. Their veteran leadership is going to give them, with their experienced guards, a chance at rolling over the Tide. Again, losing Holloway is a struggle, but the spread being at 12.5 seems pretty low just for one-star player being absent. I have Alabama winning and covering that 12.5. But definitely a story to keep an eye on, this whole Aiden Holloway story. It's, I don't know what the proper word is. Uncomfortable is one of them.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are looking at Hofstra as an upset after this news. It's definitely a huge distraction and will affect the way that Alabama plays. I do think they drop off earlier than anticipated, just not here.
Yeah. Braden, take me to the Wildcats. Or Brent, sorry. That's all you. You got it.
I got confused. No, Utah State, they come in hot behind MJ Collins Jr., their leading scorer at 17.6 points per game. Versatile wing, can create his own shot and stretch defenses. Villanova, they counter with Duke Brennan, a double-double machine, averaging 12.4 points per game and 10.3 rebounds per game. Controls the boards and anchors the Wildcats inside. Utah State, I think they have balanced scoring and momentum. And if Collins gets going early, I think they have a real shot to pull the upset, even though they're not actually an upset. I think they're favored by 2.5, even though they're the 9 seed. I just think this Villanova team doesn't have really any impressive wins on their resume. And in fact, they've actually lost a lot of their bigger games on their schedule. I think Utah State wins this one.
Well, Brent, we disagree. We've got Villanova winning and getting the upset at plus 2.5.
Fair enough.
Braden, I know you can't talk much about this next one, but talk to me about the potential matchup here for the Vols.
Yeah, I'm just going to break down a little bit of who the Volunteers could see. We're going to start with that. That game between Miami, Ohio, and SMU tips off at 9:15.
No, they're kicking. Kickoff.
So that'll be a game that the Volunteers will be watching. Obviously, there's no spread because we don't know who the Volunteers are playing yet. But for the game tonight, Miami, Ohio versus SMU is at 9:15. SMU are 7.5-point favorites. For Miami of Ohio, 31-1. perfect regular season, lost in first MAC championship quarterfinal versus UMass. They're the last at-large team in the tournament. For them, Peter Sutter is a guy to watch. For SMU, they're 20-13, and they lost in the second round of the ACC tournament versus Louisville. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games and nearly played themselves out of the tournament. Thankfully for them, they survived the bubble watch. For them, Boopy Miller is their guy, and they have a great chance if he goes off. Looking at Tennessee, they're going to be watching the game tonight. They earn a number 6 seed after losing the SEC quarterfinal against Vanderbilt. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games, including games against Missouri, Alabama, and Vanderbilt twice. They're number 20 in net rankings. Their guard, Jaconi Gillespie and Nick Arment are the guys to watch. They're averaging 18 points, 2.8 assists, 5.5 rebounds, and 17.5 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 2.5 assists, respectively. I have Tennessee winning and covering the spread against whoever they play between Miami of Ohio and SMU. I think both Miami of Ohio and SMU had rough ends to their season, despite Miami of Ohio having a perfect regular season. I just think Tennessee has the firepower to get this one done.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun matchup tonight. Brent was talking about an appetizer. I think this one will be one too. At 9:15 between the Red Hawks and the Mustangs. Another 8-9 matchup with the 9 seed as the favorite. Clemson and Iowa. I think this is an interesting one. Clemson's team is really rotated around a true starting 5. They averaged 12.8 assists between Godfrey, Welling, Porter, Davidson, and Buckner on the squad. But RJ Godfrey is really going to need to rise to the occasion and steal the senior spotlight against this Hawkeyes team who, guys, guess it, Iowa, good at defense. But Clemson is well-rounded. They have great depth. They could be one to talk about if they can get past the Hawkeyes. I think Clemson could make a little bit of a run. But this 8-9 matchup is always tedious to be in. The Hawkeyes are polar opposites of Clemson. This offense runs around guard Bennett Stritz, who averages 20 points per game, 4.5 assists, and then the combination of him and Tavion Banks, they lead a veteran group of Hawkeyes that look to bounce back from that third-round loss in the Big Ten tournament to the Buckeyes. This 8-9 matchup should be the forefront on basketball fans' calendars on Friday afternoon. I know you all agree with me, but this one, I feel like maybe it's ACC bias in me. Who knows? But this one I do have Clemson in, but the Sports Outlet Show says Iowa's going to win and cover that 2.5-point spread.
Yeah, I don't know. I've watched a lot of Clemson basketball this year, being an ACC fan, and that stretch they had in late January into February just showed how vulnerable this team is. It was a really rough stretch for them, and I think Iowa's a pretty good team.
Brent, justice for St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's, they got absolutely robbed in this bracket, in my opinion. 5 seed after winning the Big East tournament and beating UConn by 20 in that Big East tournament. Obviously, UConn being the 2 seed, yet St. John's is seated below them despite beating them 2 out of the 3 times and having the better conference record. Their star, Zuby Ejiofor, dominant force inside, a true difference maker who can score, rebound, and control the paint. One of the best players in the entire March Madness bracket. Northern Iowa, on the other hand, they lean on Trey Campbell. He's averaging just under 14 points per game. Crafty scorer who can hit tough shots and keep them competitive. But against the St. John's squad firing on all cylinders and with Ejiofor controlling the interior, I think the Panthers will have a tough time. I think this is one of the most obvious St. John's should be higher matchups of the tournament. I know the 12-5 matchup is a popular one for upsets. I don't see it in this one, boys. I think St. John's wins and covers.
Yeah, Brent, I'm glad you said it. First of all, St. John's being a 5 seed is criminal. They should be a 3 or a 4 at the lowest. Yep. They were debatably a number 2 seed rolling into March Madness Conference Championship weekend, and then they ran through the entire Big East. And secondly, this spread at 10.5 is laughable, considering they just beat UConn by 20. I know we don't use the transitive property in basketball, but if Rick Pitino is pissed off, you don't want to play the Red Storm. And I'm telling you, after Sunday, he is.
Yeah, and I think definitely the Panthers aren't very happy about that either. When they got their matchup and saw they were playing St. John's, they were probably pretty upset.
Yeah, he needs to bring out that white suit. I don't know if this matchup is the one to do it, but he needs to bring out that white suit at some point during this tourney.
There you go. Braden, talk to me about one that is buckling people here between two teams that are really unknown in the March Madness world.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. UCF 21-11 throughout their season, and UCLA 23-11 throughout theirs. UCLA is currently 5.5-point favorites. Starting with UCF, they got beat down by Arizona in the quarterfinal of the Big 12 tournament, 81-59. They've lost 7 of their last 11 games. They're number 51 in the net. Their guard, Themis Folks, is the guy to watch. He averages 14.1 points per game and 6.7 assists per game. And then they have Jamichael Stillwell as well, averaging 11.7 points and 8 rebounds per game. For UCLA, they lost against Purdue in the Big Ten semifinal, 73-66. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games with big wins against Illinois, Nebraska, and Michigan State. They're number 30 in the net. Their top scorer is Tyler Bilodeau, averaging 17.6 points per game and 5.6 rebounds per game. And their best playmaker is going to be Donovan Dent. He's averaging 13.5 points per game and 7.6 assists. I don't know. It seems weird. I feel like UCLA is a much better team, but something tells me UCF is going to pull off the upset.
Well, Braden, we disagree with you.
Fair enough.
It's okay.
I don't really have much of a basketball analysis reason for the upset. It's just a feeling.
You got to pick your upset somewhere.
Right.
What is the proper term for an upset in March Madness? What seed? I feel like it starts at 6-11.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But does it start at 15?
Yes.
I think that's safe. Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure before I give my breakdown. Purdue, do you remember FDU? The Boilermakers are never safe when it comes to March Madness, but don't worry, Zach Edey is officially gone. We're good. It took 12 years, but he's not here anymore. But they did go on an absolute tear that nobody saw coming to win the Big Ten this past Sunday over Michigan. And that's really how they snagged a 2 seed and not a 3 or a 4. Everybody knows, and social media a little bit hates now. Braden Smith, the guard, has taken social media by storm. He literally ripped his jersey the other day when he was playing in the championship in the first half. But he has 9.1 assists per game, which is second in the entire nation, and adds in 14 points per game to go with it. Talks a lot of smack, but he backs it up by being the king of Purdue and looks to send the Queens home packing. Now, Queens, they enter March Madness for their first year eligible since transitioning into and winning now the Atlantic Sun. The Royals are led by Nasir Mann, who averages 13.4 points, quick on the dribble, and his finish. Queens looks for their first March Madness test, and who better than Purdue, who knows a thing or two about March Madness. Guys, this Queens team is bad. I got Purdue. They're winning. They're covering minus 25.5.
Yeah, Purdue's been hot to end the season. I know there's been a lot of people picking them to make the Elite Eight, some even the Final Four. So they could make a big run for sure.
But can this team make an even bigger run?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Prairie View A&M up 64-51 on Lehigh. And boys, that might change my bracket. I'll be honest with you guys. I think Prairie View A&M is winning this one easily. Give me the reverse spread, actually. No, I'm just messing with you guys.
It hasn't been set yet. How do you know?
Florida is the heavy favorite here. No matter who comes out on top, it looks like it's going to be Prairie View A&M, but who knows? Maybe Lehigh has some. Maybe they go on a 14-point run here to end it with 50 seconds left. Probably not, but the Gators. Back to the Gators. They're led by Thomas Hall. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Averaging 17 points per game. Versatile scorer who can create shots off the dribble, stretch the floor, and take over in transition. Yes, Florida has been a little up and down this season. Started out the season really, really rough. Didn't look like that championship team we saw last season, at least to start, but really started to heat up here in the middle and towards the end of the season until they lost to Vanderbilt in the SEC tournament. But I really think the talent gap is enormous, especially in this game for Florida. I mean, this is like a college D1 team playing a JV team in high school is how I see it. But whoever wins this play-in, like I said, looks like it's going to be Prairie View. The Gators' speed, size, skill should overwhelm them from start to finish. I think Florida wins easily and cruises into the next round. Give me them and whatever the spread is going to be.
I don't know. Panthers by 40.
I like it.
Braden, take me to Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yep. This one they are going up against Cal Baptist. Kansas are 14.5-point favorites. But for Cal Baptist, they beat Utah Valley in the WAC championship, 63-61, in the middle of a 6-game winning stretch. And that run from the Lancers has earned them their first ever March Madness appearance. They transitioned to D1 back in 2018, and here they are for the first time in the Big Dance. They're number 98 in net rankings, and their guard, Dominique Daniels, leads the team. He's actually top 5 in the country in points per game at 23.2. He also averages 3.7 rebounds per game and 3.2 assists per game. Kansas, they were routed by Houston in the Big 12 semifinal, 47-69. They're 5-5 in their last 10, with wins against Arizona and Houston among them. They're number 21 in the net, and their freshman guard, Darren Peterson, top 10 projected NBA pick. He leads the team with 19.8 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game. And they also have Flory Badunga, who averages 13.5, 9.2 rebounds, and he's third in the country with 2.6 blocks per game. So do not try to shoot over that guy. And he's also extremely efficient. He averages 64.5% from the field. He doesn't miss a lot of shots. I just think this is a huge talent gap, as we mentioned, between a number 4 and number 13 seed. Congratulations to Cal Baptist for making it for the first time. But Kansas is going to win, and they're going to cover 14.5.
Yeah, this Jayhawks team was huge coming into the year. I expect with Peterson them to make a run, but nobody's more ready to get out of Jayhawk Nation than him. He's ready to go to the NBA. Another 15-2 matchup here. We got 2 more left, so thanks for hanging here with us. Dan Hurley is back in the NCAA tournament, so we know that the Paladins will not feel like pals at the end of this one. After being embarrassed in the Big East final on Saturday to St. John's, Terrace Reed Jr. and Solo Ball. First of all, that is a lit name. Solo Ball. Solo Ball. It's a pretty cool name. Looks to rewrite the Huskies into a national championship team once again. Hurley coaches the Huskies to play physical, spread the ball around, and has a bunch of rotational players that are consistent and are really good at stealing in between the passing lanes. Now, Furman, they won the SoCon. So you tell me this, 29-5 or SoCon champs? You be the
SoCon
judge.
Champs.
But they punched their ticket into the madness behind Braden's brother, Alex Wilkins. Not actually his brother. Scores 17.7 points per game and is going to be leaned on as only a freshman to lead the Paladins into a competitive game along with the help of forward guys. There are some names in here. Cooper Bowser. Free plug for the Mario movie at the end of the month, I guess. The Paladins have a full task ahead of them on Friday night, and that goes further than the 10 p.m. tip. But my final thing I'll say, my friends, before I pass it over for Brent to finish us out, is 2 things. 1, anything can happen in March Madness. And 2, UConn wins and covers by 20.5.
Yeah, probably. Probably right.
Wrap us up here, Brent.
Yeah, this is the last of the slate. Missouri, they enter as the underdog, but has a star who can carry them. Mark Mitchell, he leads the team with 18.3 points per game, 5.2 rebounds per game, and 3.6 assists per game. Leads the team in all 3 of those categories. He can score inside, step out to hit jumpers, and create opportunities for teammates. Basically, he's a full court weapon. Miami counters with Malik Reno. putting up nearly 19 points per game, a dynamic scorer who can heat up quickly and punish defensive lapses. The big story here for me is the travel. Miami has a long trek to St. Louis, and that extra fatigue could give Missouri the edge, being that Missouri's just outside of St. Louis. If Mitchell gets hot early, the Tigers have a real chance to pull off the upset despite Miami's talent. I think Missouri wins in the upset.
Again, this is another 7-10 game that I think can go either way. And Miami's been playing great basketball in the front half of the year, but down the back. So it really depends what team shows up that Brent was talking about. But ending off day 2 with that matchup at 10-10 on a Friday, I'll be watching. To say the least. But that's 32 games in 32 minutes. Look at that short podcast. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here tonight. Go catch the end of that Lehigh game, 9:15 for the Miami, Ohio SMU. And when you wake up, it's like Christmas morning for college basketball sports fans. It's debatably the best 48 hours in sports, especially in college sports. You'll have 32 games within 48 hours. It's fantastic from noon to midnight, both days. We'll see you here on the Sports Outlet Show next time. Make sure you fill out those final brackets and make sure you fill out 1,000 of them so someone can go win that $1 million prize. But one year it'll happen, maybe not in our lifetime, but that would be the craziest thing since sliced bread. We'll see you next time here on the Sports Outlet Show. Good night. Happy March Madness.